Well, hello everyone. We are doing a special broadcast here, and we are so honored to have with us Michael NOMAD Ripoll from Los Angeles. It's so good to have you here.
Thank you, Steve. I'm sorry. I wasn't sure if that was a handshake or a hey.
That's
Thank
quite
you,
all right.
man. I appreciate that. Yeah.
It is so great to have you here with us. Thanks for being here with us and for doing this. We've had a little bit of technical challenges this time, but I'm glad we're able to get the show going.
Indeed.
What on earth do you have there?
Yes. Well, this is a harp guitar. It's amazing because when you walk into the Gruhn spot here, it's like I was telling Eric, it's guitar player's heaven. And I saw this bad boy sitting in the corner, and I just called it a he, but now I'm going to call it a she. She's a beauty, so I don't know what she is, a he or she, by C. Kutzen. So I'm not really sure of the maker, but it is from the early 1900s, as Eric was telling me. I've always been a fan of eclectic instruments, I'm a huge fan of Michael Hedges, God rest his soul. So sorry he had to leave us. And players of that, genre. I believe Michael was like one of the first to really make that a thing. So when I see these kind of instruments, I'm automatically drawn to them. So I couldn't help it.
Well, can you noodle around on that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So, down here on the bottom is just a regular guitar, and it's actually tuned to standard pitch. So this is a low E to a high E, which I thought was really cool. And then you have your...
So that's an E.
That's a low E. Now, I tuned this myself to what I was kind of feeling. These tuning pegs are really dry, so I didn't want to tune... I didn't want to go too crazy. So I think I did an E here. I did a double A. Yeah, that's a D. And this is a G sharp. Now, why did I do a G sharp? Well, because I figured if I was going to play in the key of, and we're diving right in.
Right. That's
if
all right.
I was going to play in the key of like E major or A major, right? Let's say I did an E over G sharp.
Right.
No, that's not.
That's a C sharp.
Sorry, C sharp. That's what I meant earlier, right? So a C sharp, like if I'm in the key of A, thank you very much. So I'm going to do a C sharp, but then I'm going to resolve to a D chord, which I can't find my D. Okay, but you get the idea.
Yeah. So we gotta have E.
Yeah, but here's the deal. It's not so important about what you have down here.
Yeah.
It's your guitar. You have if you own a harp guitar, tune it however you want, and that's the beauty of it. And one of my heroes, which we're going to talk about later, Tommy Tadesco.
Yeah.
That's what he said. He said, "Look, man, you get in that session, you do what you know how to do.
Yes.
Doesn't matter the process.
Yeah.
The producer, the composer, the directors, they're not concerned with how you get there.
Yeah.
They just want to know that you're gonna get there."
That's right.
Right? So that's the whole concept. So as I'm sitting here just playing, I'm messing around with an E minor. I'm just, you can just create some cool things. And then, I'm just messing around, yeah, just E minor to A minor. And you just create automatically. We just created a beautiful piece. Or in the film and TV industry, we would call that a cue.
Right.
So we just wrote a nice little cue that could be used for anything.
You've had such an amazing career. Now, you were originally here in Nashville, because I remember you when you were here in Nashville.
Yes, that's right. Wow, I wish we had a chance to really meet and connect.
You were just leaving about that time.
Yeah. I'm originally from New York, but I lived here for 8 years, from 1997 through 2005. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And then in 2005, moved to Los Angeles, where I reside now.
Right. Did anything bring you out to Los Angeles?
So while I was here, I was very fortunate to have a great little stint. I did a residency with jazz saxophonist Kirk Whalum.
Of course.
I was in his band
Yeah.
as a guitar player for 8 years, pretty much that whole term.
Mhm.
And that was fantastic. And then I started picking up session work during the week when I was home, and that was great. Did a lot of CCM and gospel stuff and some pop stuff. Really hardly any country. I leave that up to the real country players. There's so many fantastic ones in this town.
Yes.
Why mess with that when you have such greats? So it was good because I had my own little niche. But then I realized I kind of plateaued, I think. So I wanted to go out to LA to pursue film and TV more seriously, and also my own artistry, you know,
Right.
so which I'm doing now as well. So it's a lot of fun.
And you've done quite a bit with film and composing and TV work. That's kind of a different area of musicianship that we haven't really explored too much.
Yeah.
How did you get into that? What is involved with
Yeah.
all that?
Well, it's funny. That's why I wanted to demonstrate this guy, you know, because how I got into it, I've always loved creating just little ethereal, eclectic, eccentric, whatever E word you want to use to describe it, just little parts like that. So that's really, it's conducive to film. It's conducive to picture, you know, whether it's film or TV. And I had a nice little database of friends out in LA. And of course, when I moved there, I hit them all up ahead of time, said I'm coming out. When I got there, I followed up.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, good old fashioned networking pays off. You know, it just, you know how it is. I mean, sure, it's tough. A lot of times you don't want to get up off the couch and go network and go mix and mingle. But you know what? If you do, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That being said, don't always do it with self-serving purposes, but just do it. It's fun.
Yeah.
You know, you never know who you're going to meet, like we met. You
That's
know?
true.
I mean, we were networking online.
Right.
That's how we met, so to speak.
Right.
But, you know, so
And-
that's how it started.
And you've had your compositions on several different movies and TV. What are some of the things that
Yeah.
you've had?
Well, I worked with a famed composer, John Powell, on several films, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Happy Feet 1 and 2, P.S. I Love You, which was all acoustic guitar, fingerstyle, which is great. Happy Feet 1 and 2, I did a lot of flamenco and some funk. And you know how it really happened? How I got hooked up with John Powell, a dear friend of mine, Alex Al, fantastic bass player. He was with Michael Jackson for almost 10 years before Michael passed.
Wow.
But Alex has played with everybody. Very good friend of mine, good brother. He was working on Mr. and Mrs. Smith with John Powell. John says to him, "Hey, do you know a guitar player that can play flamenco, funk, and country?" So he goes, "Actually, I do," and he just moved to town. It's like, "Great, give me his number." Well, I get a call on Mother's Day, 2005, and it's from John Powell's assistant. And she says, "Hi, you know, we got your info from Alex, blah, blah, blah. Listen, I know it's kind of last minute, but can you come in right now?" I was like, you know, we always hear about those phone calls, and you think it's all legend and silly stuff, but it really happened like that. So I was like, sure. So I gathered up my stuff, and I didn't even have time to say, well, let me get a cartage situation. No cartage. I loaded my truck up with every kind of crazy instrument I could find, and you know, a little electric rig and lots of other instruments. Went down there, didn't leave for like 14 hours. We were tracking out of his house. He has a big, beautiful house, Pacific Palisades, gorgeous.
What was to tracks that were already done? You were doing overdubs, or were
Right.
you watching?
I was
little
overdubbed.
film
Well,
cues,
here's the
or-
beautiful part. So you walk in, it's very stunning, like this facility, and giant screen. And I didn't know at the time. Now we know what Mr. and Mrs. Smith is and who started it. But before it's released, you don't know.
Yeah.
So I walk in. The first thing I see is the screen, and I see Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, and I'm like, oh, wow, I'm playing on a big movie today. Woohoo! This is exciting. And then you see several music stands with tons of score, you know,
Written
music,
out,
written
sheet
out.
music,
Yep,
the whole bit.
absolutely. And you see your little guitar stool, your mics, you know, and it's like, okay, buddy, this is you. Like I said, you know, we were talking. You want to play with the big boys? You're with the big boys. Let's see what you can do. Big boys, big gals, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The point being, this is the real deal.
Yeah.
So sit down. You know, we do our niceties. John's a very pleasant man, sweetheart of a guy, and he's got a bunch of assistants and people running around. Everybody's helping, and we start, okay, Michael, so on this scene, I'm trying to evoke this, it is romantic. However, there's some trepidation coming because we don't know what's going to happen next. There's a bomb that,
So you're improvising, but you're also having to keep up with certain things in the score?
Yeah, he'll give you notes like that. Any good film composer will give you notes, will give you an idea what to work with of the sentiment of the scene, right? But then he'll say, okay, so if you look here, there's a little, there might be there's a little tremolo piece. And then he says, okay, now as it grows, you can flow with it. You can give me dynamic pulses, crescendos and decrescendos up and down. But then as we move into the next section, I'm going to go to the 4 chord, and then I really want you to create some tension on that minor 4. And then when it comes back to the minor 1 chord, you can relax a little bit, But then, Michael, now as you can see, it's written here on the chart. We're going to go to the 5 chord. But when you do that, I want passion and just intensity, So even if it's all written the same, you're just looking at it like that, notes on paper. And he says, when you go here, and he might not say the 4 chord, the 5 chord. He might say the D minor, the A minor, the E, or he might say that little next section, or he might say, measures 13 through 17, however he delineates, doesn't matter. But and then also, and then you wait and hang, and then you let that fermata. You see that fermata that's written. Keep that. That is literal. And then as soon as you see her pick up the knife, now I want you to come back in. So he'll guide you, he'll give you notes like that. Now that's pretty step by step, play by play. He'll do that maybe first few times, and then he's going to let you interpret. And then and what I love about John.
So you're looking at the image.
You're watching the image.
Okay.
You're reading the sheet music. You're playing the music, and you're interpreting everything that's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a high. All of your senses are extremely heightened. It's an intense
And
moment.
at this point, it was just a solo guitar interlude or musical bed that was happening.
Yeah, there's a scene in several scenes in Mr. and Mrs. Smith. One is when they're in bed together in a hotel, and they're like in Bogota, but beautiful, very rustic and romantic, and I'm doing that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden, a bomb is dropped. So that's where the intensity comes. So then you might go to that chord that I was talking about, and then he might say, okay, now I just want you to just give me, just sustain on that, So now they're running through the hotel trying to get out, and then we'll switch. He goes, okay, now we're going to switch over to the electric rig. I need just a really nasty fuzz tone, and you'll see the line. So he'll have a line written out, maybe it's something like a. Now you're creating that tension. Oh, now they're running, they're in the truck, they're driving, But you do that with a fuzz tone, and that has a lot of impact, you know. So literally from 1 second to the next, you're going from romantic Spanish guitar, Mediterranean, to fuzz tone, Black Keys type stuff. So I just love that. I mean, I love the challenge. I love the variety, so. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. And then did I also read that you had some stuff in Men in Black 3?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I worked with Danny Elfman on Men in Black 3, and that was by referral from John. So I worked with John on a bunch of films. Danny calls John, says, hey, I need a guitar player. I want some fresh blood, somebody new that I might not have worked with before. So he recommended me. That was great. Very, very grateful. Similar situation. Danny, again, these studios, they're so impressive because it's not only the normal technology that we see here in Nashville studios or even LA, record studios. Of course, the technology is beautiful, and some of the studios here in this town are amazing. But when you walk into an established film composer studio, you're going to see instruments that you've never seen before in your life, that you didn't even know existed. So right there, again, your senses are peaked. Because you walk in and you're like, oh my goodness, what is that thing? I want to touch it. I want to play it. So much the same way with Dan. And Danny, gave me direction and, a lot of fun. So
absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, I know that's not your normal instruments that you would use.
Right.
Tell us about some of the normal acoustic instruments that you might use on something like that.
Right. So if I like on a film date like that.
On a film thing, because I know you do so much Latin things. And I know in Nashville you were one of the few guys that could could do flamenco and could pull that off for recording things.
Right. Yeah, any film date like that, you want to have a nice little arsenal. So you definitely have your dreadnought steel string style, just in case they, like on Men in Black, I did some folky finger picking. Who would have known? You wouldn't think a movie like that would have scenes, but it did. So I'm glad I had one of those with me. I always bring one of my more modern steel string acoustics. In this case, McPherson. I'm a huge McPherson fan, advocate.
And you're one of their artists, because I've seen some of your stuff on McPherson's website. Beautiful, absolutely gorgeous instruments.
Oh, just incredible. So that would handle all of my modern steel string acoustic applications, and even some of the more dated folky stuff. That's not a problem either. And then I might bring a specialty steel string, like a parlor type, or maybe something that has higher action, just to play a little bottleneck, just in case. And then that's the steel string side. Sorry. And then, of course, a 12-string. Always never show up without a 12-string. You just never know. And then on the nylon side, always a good nylon or two or three. You know, you have your favorites.
Now, your main nylon string, what kind is that? I know you don't have it here with. You're just
this was impromptu, right?
Nomad's from Los Angeles, so all of his instruments are back there. You're just here for NAMM, right? You were here for the NAMM convention, which just finished up. So you don't have all of your instruments. What would your normal nylon string be?
Well, you know, I just started working this. Mic'd up here, working with another company called Aretha Guitars, with their classical and flamenco line. And you know, I do McPherson exclusively for steel string. And when I signed with Aretha, I said absolutely, but I'm not going to endorse your steel string because I'm taken in that area. But I would love to endorse your nylon line. So that's who I play, the Merida nylon guitars. But boy, I've had some beauties over the years. Right now, I also have a.
Let me get you this.
Oh, cool. I also have the this handmade flamenco guitar from Spain. You ready? There's no name. I have no idea who the maker is. And the guy I bought it from had no idea. So it's this anonymous handmade flamenco guitar. It is gorgeous, and it plays like butter. It's like, amazing. So that's my top dog, in the nylon world. I have some Yamahas. I have an old Gibson folk nylon, that the style that Willie Nelson plays. I have one of those guys, and it's just as old as Willie's, it seems like. Or
so
almost.
How long have you been out in Los Angeles?
10 years.
10 years.
2005, yeah. So, and it's been going well,
And besides all the recording stuff that Nomad does, you are now on the road as the musical director for Babyface. Yeah,
for those of you who might not know, Babyface, a.k.a. Kenny Babyface Edmonds, was one of the most prolific songwriter-producers of the mid-late 80s and all of the 90s. I always like to say he wrote the 90s.
So many. So many hits through there.
He wrote and produced hits for everybody from Whitney Houston to TLC to Toni Braxton to Madonna to John Mellencamp. The list goes on and on. Artists you would say, oh yeah, I could see that, and then artists that you'd be like, wow, that's interesting. Of course, he did. He produced that for Eric Clapton.
Right.
That's a great story, by the way. He told us that story. He told me that story once. Basically, Eric Clapton sought him out. Tommy Sims wrote that song.
And Gordon Kennedy, who we've had on the show, and we've actually talked to about that song.
Oh, great.
It was fascinating to hear Gordon's side of the story.
I want to hear Gordon's side.
Gordon said, we did that song for a project, him and Wayne Kirkpatrick and Tommy Sims. Yep. And we did that for a project, and we did, I don't forget whose project it was. It kind of had its life, and then we had forgotten about it.
Right.
And then somebody else did it. I forget. And then there was, he said we came in a couple years later, and then we got this phone call that Eric Clapton was interested in doing that song. He said we were knocked out, that here this song that they had thought was, pretty much had gone through its life and was done now. Ended up winning the Grammy for Best Song that year. And was in the soundtrack to the movie, I forget.
Phenomenon.
Yeah.
What a great movie, John Travolta. Yeah, and I can't remember the leading lady. I had such a crush on her. I can't remember her name. Anyway,
We have a lesson over in Gibson Skills House in their Gibson Skills House. We do some artist interviews. One of the artist interviews that we have is with Gordon Kennedy, one of the writers of that song. So if you want to hear Gordon's story of that, just look in Gibson Skills House underneath the artist interviews for Gordon Kennedy, which actually happens to be up this week in Gibson Skills House, is the artist interview with Gordon Kennedy. So he talks all
that's
about
beautiful. You ready for the tie-in?
All right,
We're
so
gonna
yeah, tell me
we're going
about-
to tie this all in. I love this because Gordon's story lines up with the story I heard from Kenny, Babyface, of course it does. He got a call from Eric Clapton, said, hey, I'm going to record this song, but I have to have you produce it. And basically it's because Kenny...
Had they worked before together?
Called him out of the blue. According to Kenny, he said, basically Eric called him and he was enamored because he's a huge Eric Clapton fan. I mean, who wouldn't, And I guess it's because Eric had heard all of his work, especially with the sound that he had created in the 90s with the acoustic guitar,
Right.
the really beautiful vocal stack harmonies, the background vocals, and the pop, essence.
Sensibilities.
He captured all that. So that's what happened. So they worked together, and of course, Kenny was, I can't even imagine. I wish I was with him at the time. Well, so then they did Unplugged. They did the MTV Unplugged thing right when Unplugged was like just starting. I don't know if that was the first Unplugged or
that
maybe
was the, from my recollection, that was the first big one.
big one.
That was the first one that mattered.
Yeah. Well, then imagine this. Then you have a band for the show with this guy playing bass. I don't know
Nathan
if
East.
Nathan East. If we have, I don't know if we have a direct. I mean a Zoom. But anyway, so Eric Clapton, Nathan East, J.R. Robinson, or that might have been Ricky Lawson on drums, Greg Fillinganes on keys, Michael Thompson on guitar, who's one of my heroes. And now I am, honored to say that he's actually a friend. I'm like, all these guys are my buddies now because I've been in L.A. and because of my association with Babyface,
Right.
Or I call him Kenny. So I am so grateful and thankful, man. It's beyond my wildest dreams to be hanging out with these guys. These are my heroes. Yeah. And now I get to hang out with them and play gigs every once in a while. We do some work together with David Foster, and
absolutely amazing.
And so I'm just honored. So I sit and listen to those guys talk, and they've been gracious enough to accept me as their little adopted brother, so to speak.
Beautiful. And so how long have you been doing that?
Hanging out with those guys and Babyface or what?
With Babyface.
I'm sorry, Babyface. I've been his guitar player for almost 8 years. I've been his MD for going on 7. Yeah, MD, music director.
And is he out once a month?
No. That's the beauty of it. We're all family men, starting from the head on down. So he's got wife and kids, so he doesn't want to be on tour. So we do spot dates, we do fly dates. So we'll just like a lot of the country artists here do. We'll leave on a Thursday or Friday, come home Saturday or Sunday. And we only do that once or twice a month. So it's a beautiful thing. I'm excited about that. I have a daughter as well. So, you still get to be home and work on your studio stuff and work on your own craft, Yeah.
And you, along the way, you've had the wonderful privilege of playing with some amazing musicians. I was reading through there. You've played with Sting at one point?
Yes. And actually, believe it or not, that was here in Nashville.
Really?
Yeah. Smokestack Studios in Berry Hill, right around the corner?
Yeah.
Paul Moak owns it? Yeah. Well, I can't remember. It used to be another studio before. And, oh, boy, the owners were such sweethearts. Michael Moled? I can't remember his wife's name. They were just a wonderful couple. They owned that studio before it was Smokestack. That's where we tracked. And it was for a Sam Moore album. Sam Moore from Sam and Dave, the old soul group. Well, Sam had done a solo project. Guess who produced it? Tommy Sims.
Right here in town?
Right here in town. Tommy Sims and Randy Jackson. They produced it together. And Randy had known me from some other things in L.A., and I was living in L.A. at the time. And Tommy, of course, we knew each other from working here. I love working with Tommy. Oh, jeez. I would pay Tommy to work with him. That's how much I love working with him. So I got the call. Tommy called me and said, hey, he calls me Rip. Yo, Rip, we're going to be over here at the studio working on an album for Sam Moore. Come on over. I want you, blah, blah, blah. It was a couple of days of tracking. I don't remember. And he did a bunch of duets, So one of them was Sting. you know.
That is so
I
wow.
mean, just fantastic, you know. Another one was it Trisha?
Was he
Yearwood?
actually there?
Sting was not there.
Sting was not
But
there.
Sam
But
was there.
Sam was there.
And Tommy and Randy and, oh man, I'm not even that old, man. I'm
Wow.
only 43. I can't remember everybody else. But there's a lot of cool people on that record.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you've also played a little bit over time with Stevie Wonder. You've done.
Yeah, I've done a couple
Played a time
gigs
or-
with him. Yep. There's an amazing bass player and music director out in L.A. named Ricky Minor.
Mhm.
And Ricky was the Tonight Show band
Ricky
leader.
Minor, yeah.
Before, you know, Jay Leno.
Mhm.
He was the
And then
last
before
guy.
that, he was American Idol.
American Idol. Now he's
And-
back with American Idol, although it just wrapped.
Yes.
They wrapped for good, yeah.
And you were on the American Idol tour.
I did an American Idol tour in 2005,
Yeah.
right when I moved there. Right after I started hooking up with John Powell, I got
Mhm.
the call for the tour. You know,
Which I think that's pretty grueling. There was a ton of dates, if I remember right.
Pretty intense. It was a 3-month run, or almost a 3-month run. Very intense, but here's the thing, and I know I'm fast forwarding, but I talk about this in my book, which I know we'll get to.
Mhm.
You never know where one thing is going to lead to the next.
Yeah.
Everything, you know, my beautiful fiance always says, you know, we're all connected.
Mhm.
And it's true. You never
Mhm.
know how something is going to run into the next thing. So my motto is, you know, if you can, try to say yes.
Yeah.
You know, if because you just never know.
You've had such a wonderful career as a working musician, as
Right,
as
as a
just a guitarist,
Career
the
musician.
career musician, and you've put some of those thoughts down now
Yeah.
in a new book. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So the first rendition is called The Career Guitarist. And basically, this is volume 1. There's going to be several volumes. I'm speaking to all of the aspiring guys and gals out there who want to make a career playing guitar, just like I have. And then I'm going to expand it to the career musician eventually. But right now, it's the career guitarist. I have so many people hit me up on social media. Hey, how do you do this? What do you do this? Blah, blah, blah. You know, what do you think about this? Even a lot of friends and acquaintances in real life. Hey, man, I'd love to sit down with you and talk about. And we all do that. When I first moved here to Nashville, I called Tom Hemby from referral. Tom, you know, you don't know me. This is who I am. I got connected from this guy. Tom was so gracious. Sure, man, come on, you know, let's go to lunch, you know, let's go have a coffee. He's like, he's even said something, right now I'm in the middle of putting a barbecue together from my deck, but, well, how about later this afternoon? I mean, like, just so nice.
Yeah.
So that, I have to pay that forward.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's what it takes. This business is so hard.
Yeah.
We know that, right? So, I mean, you have to take time to just, you know, bless other people with your time, your knowledge, your experience.
Yeah.
That's what the whole concept is of the Career Guitarist. And basically right now it's just an ebook. It will be available soon on my website as a download.
And your website, nomadsplace.com.
nomadsplace.com, correct.
Yep.
Yeah, so the ebook, I cover everything. Really, I talk, of course, about skill and technique on the guitar, but I would say almost more, the larger percentage is business. And I just talk about the fact that you have to have a good business acumen. You have to have good business skills. That's what this is about. It's the music business. And although all we want to do is sit in our room and play our favorite Django Reinhardt licks or our favorite, you know, James Burton licks or whatever licks we love, that's all we want to do, right? Well, guess what? From the time you're 5 or however went 10 when you started playing to the time you grow up to be a young person, that's when you do that. You study your butt off, you practice your butt off, you get in there, you know, you do that. Well, when you get to your late teens and you want to start working, now the business side has to kick in.
Yeah.
You can't just go out there, you know, big-eyed and just be, oh, wow, now what do I do? You know?
Yeah.
You'll get eaten alive by the sharks.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
Can you play us something? What
Yeah.
instrument are you playing there?
really proud of this guy. This is the carbon fiber, Kevin Michael carbon fiber touring guitar. That's a mouthful, by McPherson, but it is by McPherson. McPherson makes it.
It looks smaller than a
3/4 scale,
Right.
which I love. And this is how balanced it is. I mean, you know, bar chords. I mean, and the intonation. But of course, you know, McPhersons are known for just, you know, beautiful intonation and being able to play. triads all the way up the neck that are perfectly in tune.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I really love, one of the attributes I love about McPherson. The reason why I love this so much, it's carbon fiber. You can literally light it on fire and it won't burn.
Yeah.
Well, try to light it on fire. Good luck with that. But you can carry it on a guitar, on an airplane. You know, I have a little soft gig bag for it. It's so easy and inconspicuous, so that the gate attendants don't give you a hard time.
Yeah.
It goes right up there in the overhead bin, and it's indestructible. So if somebody shoves their big suitcase right on top of it or next to it, nothing's gonna happen to it. Whereas if you take one of these bad boys, and somebody does that, you're like, be careful.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially if it's in a gig bag.
Yeah.
Let's not even talk about checking it, you
Yeah,
know?
right.
So I love that it's become my right-hand man, so to speak, my right-hand axe. It's got these nifty little volume and tone controls in here, so you can't see. Of course, it's got the input jack. One of my little traditions is I put some gaff tape here, so you know, so I can go back and forth without thinking about it. I like doing that. But yeah, I
Can you play us a little?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I'm gonna sing a little bit too, because it's
Great.
Sheriff John Brown always hated me. You gotta jam with me, man. For one, I don't know. But every time that I plant a seed, he says kill it before it grows. Kill it before it grows. Yes, sir. And I say, I shot the sheriff, but I did not shoot no deputy. I shot the sheriff, but I swear it was in self-defense. Take a little solo. C to B to E minor. And I'll take one now. Yeah. I always love doing that one.
Beautiful.
Wow, thank you.
Beautiful.
You too, man.
Oh, like it's
Killer.
a wonderful sound.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we're both playing McPherson, so it's like, it's not even a contest.
Wonderful. So you were here for NAMM.
Right, yeah.
And so how long have you been in town?
I got here last Wednesday, so I was there Thursday and Friday at NAMM, and then I had to fly out to Chicago on Friday evening to do a gig with Babyface in Chicago, right? And then I came back here Sunday, did a little gig over at the Basement, which is not too far from here. And then last night I did a gig at Kimbrough's in Franklin.
Right.
You know, my own gig, both nights my own gigs.
Doing your stuff.
Doing my stuff, yeah.
So you just put together a band from guys
Yep.
around,
I
here?
mean, we got world-class musicians, right?
Yeah.
So all my homies from back in the day, you know, I love calling them up saying, hey, let's go. We're going to play. And, you know, usually it's just for fun, you know. It's never about how much money we're gonna make. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think last night I was able to give the guys $25 each. So gas money.
There you
in
go.
Nashville,
There
not
you
in
go.
LA. That's only half gas money in LA.
Wouldn't even pay for your parking. in
Yeah,
LA.
right, exactly. But so it's a blast. And then you know, tonight we had scheduled this, and that was kind of the reason why I wanted to stick around, because
Yeah.
ironically, I know we have technical difficulties, but you said your regular audience is Tuesday nights, right?
Yeah. We are normally on Tuesday nights. It's the first time in live lesson history we have not been able to actually do a live event because of the internet. We've had storms here in Nashville, been some pretty severe storms around, and much of the neighborhood around us does not have power. So I'm thankful we at least have power, and the phones are out. But we're all set up and ready to go, so I thought we would try and do it. We'll broadcast this afterwards.
Yeah,
So
that'll be awesome.
I'm so glad you were able to do that with us.
Definitely, yeah.
We wanted to give something away.
Yes.
And there isn't an easy way to do this without a live audience. So we kind of did a little bit of brainstorming. And you had said one of your idols was, of course, the great studio guitarist Tommy Tadesco.
Correct.
Gosh, one of the guys for kind of the 80s end of things.
70s and 80s.
70s and 80s.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to bet 60s, 70s, and 80s. I mean, he got probably the tail end, just a little bit of the 80s. He passed way too early.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, we're talking like when the Brady Bunch and Hawaii Five-0 was...
If you heard a theme song, a TV theme song somewhere in the 60s and 70s,
that's right.
You probably heard Tommy Tadesco. In fact, it was not 4 or 5 days ago. I was standing in the Musicians Hall of Fame here in Nashville.
Oh, yeah.
We had our guitar conference, and we took a tour of the Musicians Hall of Fame. Thought it'd be fun.
Yeah.
And so they go through, and I come around the corner, and it says Tommy Tedesco's nylon string guitar. And so I'm looking at that, and then they have a little plaque next to it, talks about it. They said if you the theme song from MASH, Suicide is Painless, with that nylon string, that was the guitar. That was Tommy Tedesco's guitar, as a matter of fact, that did that song. Just amazing.
Wow.
So many.
I mean, so many tracks and cues and like you said, theme songs he's played on.
You know, if I remember watching a video of his, and he was saying, if you're, watching Star Wars and you're in Jabba the Hutt's palace and there's all this funky music going on in the background, said, that was me.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Oh, and that's funny because they're working on the new Star Wars now. Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah, Tommy is a hero of mine. I read his book. I bought his video years ago, of course, because Tommy played from the heart. He had a great technical proficiency, but he didn't lean on that. He actually relied more on his personality. And he got so much work because he was so charismatic and such a nice guy. Everybody wanted to be around him. Yeah. And then when he picked up an axe, everybody was like, whoa, oh my goodness. Now you're talking about back in the day, so there was also so many greats, Dennis Budimir and all these guys. And of course, after him, right around that era coming up, the next generation, Larry Carlton, Lee Ritenour. And then the generation shortly after that, Michael Thompson and Paul Jackson Jr., all these guys are my heroes. But the thing that Tommy said was, look, when and you probably remember from his video, the producer says, I want something, think, Spain circa, 1930s and, blah, 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 and this and that, and Tommy's like, sure, absolutely. Oh yeah, I can do that. No problem. Yeah, I got it. So he's just taking it all in. He's taking the direction, and then he'll play just like, he'll do something like of course, an E minor chord, right? Okay, well, what's special about that? Well, nothing, So then he might go like this. He might go, and then at the end, he'll go like this. And that's right from his video.
That's right from
Tommy
his
did
video.
that in his video. He's like, if you make the face, the producer will believe it. As they're looking through the glass,
Yes. So as we were thinking about what we could do to try and give away something, we thought we would involve Tommy Tadesco and his amazing career.
Yeah.
So tell us about what we're giving away first, though.
We're going to give away a nice little package of Nomad goodies, which I do want to touch on and explain where that came from. But it'll have a USB that's also a little necklace. It's 2 gigabytes. and it has my ebook, the Career Guitarist Volume 1, some cool music videos that I've done for my songs, and even the guitar tossing video. Did you see that one?
I did see that one. Yeah, good.
Yeah, and some, all my music and some goodies like that. A CD of mine, a sticker, a bunch of Nomad pics and things like that. So just a little fun goodie package. But the informative part is the ebook, the PDF on there. You can read that, devour it, and have fun with it,
All right, so how we have thought to do this is going to totally kill my inbox, but we're willing to do this. All right, if you can email the answer to service@mightyoakmusic.com, service@mightyoakmusic.com, the first one with the correct answer will win this, and then we'll let you know, and then you can send us your mailing information, stuff like that. So the answer... The question is
approximately with a close approximation, the closest approximation or guesstimation, how many film and TV scores did Tommy play on?
Tommy Tadesco.
Tommy Tadesco, and let's do a multiple choice. Was it 100 to 150? Was it 150 to 200? Or was it over 200? So that makes it easy. 100 to 150, letter A, right?
Okay.
Letter B, 150 to 200. Letter C, over 200.
And the question again was,
how many film and TV scores, underscores did Tommy play on?
There you go.
How's that? Is that good?
First one to answer, that's the closest, at service@mightyoakmusic.com will get the little guitar fun pack from Nomad, which is kind of your name, your stage name, your career name. How did you come up with that?
It's funny because
you've always been referred. I mean, as long as I've known you, that has been in your
That's funny because you and I have only known each other for a handful of years. Prior to that, and here's the reason why I changed my name. Not legally. Everybody would call me Ripoll, Ripoll, Ripoll.
Yeah.
Oh, I always hate that when people mispronounce my last name.
Yeah.
It's just Ripoll. There's no I at the end.
Yeah.
The first one is they put an I. So Ripoll, But it's Michael Ripoll. My father is Cuban. This is where the Nomad concept started. When he was a young man, he came from Matanzas, Cuba to Miami, from Miami to New York, from New York back to Miami, from Miami back to New York. And then he had me. And then we went from New York to Florida, back from Florida to New York, and my brothers and whatnot. And then so we're jumping back and forth on the East Coast. I then moved to Nashville circa 1997. And then I moved to Japan for a stint for a year to do a gig. In Osaka. I lived just outside of Osaka.
Really? Who were you playing with?
It was a tourist attraction for a riverboat queen that they had on Lake Biwako.
How odd.
Lake Lake Biwa for short, B-I-W-A, or full Biwako, B-I-W-A-K-O, Lake Biwako, just outside of Osaka. Really beautiful little cool thing. They love American music. So I was hired along with a singer to do, a duet. And we would sing everything. She would sing Whitney Houston. I would sing Eric Clapton, and we would run the whole gamut of the pop culture, top of the charts, So we did that for a while. And then back to Nashville, and then Nashville to LA. Now, so that's nomadic, right? And then growing up, I must have had 12 to 15 homes. From the time I was born till the time I was like 18. And then as a modern day musician, what do we do for a living? We tour, or at least some of the time. So I've been fortunate enough to see a lot of the world, a good portion of it. I've been to many countries. I haven't counted yet, but I should. Almost all 50 states. So that's nomadic. So I figured, Prince, Sting, Cher, you go back in time, Bird, Miles, right? Train, all this stuff. I like the one name idea. Not that I'll ever be that on that level, but those are my heroes. So Nomad seemed befitting. So now everything is Michael NOMAD Ripoll. So people can recognize my name still. As my music, my own artistry advances, then I'm sure eventually just go to Nomad, which whichever. I don't care. As long as you don't call me Ripoll. I really do not like that.
Well, thank you so much for being part of this, and
absolutely
on
thank
this
you.
on this odd show that we have been able to do. Thank you so much for your flexibility with him.
Oddest in the best way. Odd in the best way.
In the best
love
way.
this.
In
You
the
kidding
best
me? This
way.
is not odd. This is awesome. I love it. I mean, great job, Steve. Really.
Well,
I'm
it
just-
is a joy doing this. It is a joy having you here
Yeah,
with us.
thank you,
Thank you
sir.
so much.
Yeah.
Can you play us out with something?
Absolutely. So this is a little ditty that I wrote years ago called "Give Thanks." Lots of chords. And it's just like that. It's a cycle. E major. Yeah. Yeah. Then we're going to go to a breakdown. And then I change it up. Just some little antics, you know, nothing too crazy, but it looks more fancy than it actually is. And what that is, actually, we didn't talk a lick about guitar.
That's all right.
Just
Show us what that is.
That's just a major 9 form, really. Well, a ninth. It's just a fifth and a ninth. There's no third, so you don't know if it's major or
So
minor.
you just did an
You
F,
play a fifth,
a
an F
C,
and a C,
and then a big
you-
stretch out
G,
to the
yep.
G.
And then when
Not
you,
as big on your smaller guitar.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And when you bring it up a whole step, you know, you get another cool one. You can do it another whole step. If you go another whole step, you're gonna kind of breach key. We don't want to do that. You're gonna take it out. So we'll go a step and a half to the C, and then another step on the D. So if you literally just go, it's a really cool thing, right? Now Sting was big on these voicings, and I'm sure you can recognize that.
Yeah.
Now, if you try to stay diatonic within the key, right? You can mix it up. Right? So all I'm doing is I'm flip-flopping around between having the root on the 6th string or on the 5th string.
Same fingering for both.
Same fingering for both, but as long as I stay in the key of F. In this instance, it's F major. So I can hit the B flat. That's still in F major. But then here you're taking it out a little bit. But I mean, you know, actually on this one I don't think I hit the B flat. I went. So that's really neat. So now you're in the key of F. And then if you play all the open strings with these 3 on the bottom, you have a big old F major 9 sharp 11, right? That was a mouthful, but I love it. So, you know, a major 7 has the major 7th, which it has here, the E, okay? Major 9 because it has the G,
Right.
and since the 7th, well, you know, I'm talking to you, of course, you
No,
know
no,
this
no,
stuff,
that's
but
right.
it's for the folks who
Yeah,
don't. The 9th is the G, and then you have another G right here, but we have that sharp 11, which is the B. Now, the B is a funny note because it's not in the key, right? We know it's not in the key of F. I love the fact that you said you got to know your circle of fifths. You got to know your keys. The B is flatted. Well, in this case, we're playing an open B. Well, that's the 4th chord tone or scale tone, right? 4th scale tone, and it's raised, so it's the sharp 11.
Yeah.
So now, a great mode to play over that guy is what, Steve?
Well, that would be your
F.
be Lydian.
F Lydian,
Yep.
exactly. So let's just jam it. Yeah. So you can really hear that. So one of the things I talk about in the book, The Career Guitarist, it's something that I refer to as ska, and not the style of music that became pretty popular in the early 2000s. SKA, that's ska with the reggae, fast reggae with the horns.
Fast reggae, yeah.
This ska would be SCA, scale, chord, arpeggio, and it's the scale, chord, arpeggio relationship. How do all three of those elements relate to each other? Well, it's really important. And a lot of people come up to me and say, man, how do you learn how to solo better? You know, I want to solo, I want to get out of the box.
Yeah.
This is the box, right? Boy, we all know that box, we beat it to death.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to get another box. Well, oh, that's the blues box. Okay,
Yeah.
no, let's get out of those boxes.
Yeah.
So scale. So first you have to know the scale you're playing as it pertains to which chord you're playing.
Right.
And once you know that, then you can break up the chord and play it as an arpeggio. So a great exercise, just go through your modes and play the scale, the chord, the arpeggio. So let's just say in the key of G because it's easy access. Let's play the G Ionian scale, or the G major scale. Now the chord that would go with that could be just a regular old G major or a G major 7. Right, okay. And then for this sake, we'll add sevenths for this demonstration. So then you do your arpeggio. And we'll move up and we'll do the next one, A Dorian. That's my chord, scale, chord, arpeggio. B minor, Phrygian, or B Phrygian. So, and then the arpeggio. Now, if you say, hold on, Nomad, wait a minute, you're going too fast. Don't worry about it. Not only is it in my book, but if you just look up fingerings for modes, there's a gajillion of them on the internet. Here's the thing about my style of teaching. I want to teach you how to bring your essence out, to bring your personality out. Steve, when I jam with you, you have a definitive personality. I'm like, oh, wow, I really like Steve's voice. That's pretty.
Yeah.
You hear me, you're like, oh, wow, Nomad has his own unique voice. Johnny Hyland, Brent Mason, Chet Atkins, you know, the list goes on.
Yeah.
Now, some players have more of a unique voice. That's what I'm after.
Yeah.
I want to draw out that uniqueness.
Yeah.
So I'm not interested in showing you fingerings. I'm not interested in showing you licks. I just want to give you the tools and how to unlock these mysteries, and then I want you to do it on your own.
And you do so much teaching, and you do so well at teaching. You've been
thank
you've
you.
been working with Jam Play a little
Oh,
bit.
yeah.
And you're still able to do some things with Jam Play?
Absolutely. I have 3 recorded series with them.
Wow.
Lesson series, and each series has like 30 different lessons. The first one was funk and R&B, so it taught you how to play, you know. You know, that kind of cool, funky stuff.
Yeah.
Or like the classic. You know, all the little pretty R&B things. That was the first series. The next one was Modal Magic.
Yeah.
So actually, go to Jam Play, my Modal Magic show. Well, what are those fingerings? So those are the fingerings I was just playing with ska, you know. So we left off at Lydian. So C is Lydian, the key of G. So it has an F sharp in there. Right? And then the chord, and then the arpeggio. So what this is doing, it's empowering you to make on-the-spot decisions as to which notes you want to play because you know the roadmap.
Yeah.
Okay? So going back to Jam Play, that was the second lesson series, Modal Magic. The third is acoustic pop. How do you pick up an acoustic guitar and write a pop song? That's basically what we talked about. Or not even write a pop song, but play a pop song, one of your favorite ones.
Yeah.
So 3 series there. You can sign up for them. I think their membership is like around $20 a month. If you ask me, it's a ridiculously good deal in favor of the of the student because they have somewhere between 40 and 50 instructors.
There's so many things over there now.
Like 20, 30 different genres. They probably have over like 3,000 lessons, maybe more. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And you're going to get me on camera, you know, in all my series. And they have multi-angle camera shoots, much like you have here, you know. So everything I'm doing, you know, you can really see. I love working with them because they have a platform set up that I couldn't match. I mean, they put tons of time and resources into that.
Yeah.
So I'd rather go with them than try to,
That's right.
you know, do my own thing like that. In that essence, you
Yeah.
know, in
Yeah.
that sense.
Well, we
Anyway.
better let you go. You've
Yeah,
got
we
things
covered
to
a
go
lot.
on,
Yeah.
go do tonight. This was just one of the things you were doing tonight.
Yeah, man. Thank you so
When do you
much.
head back to L.A.?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Good.
yeah,
Well, thanks
excited
for
about
being
that.
here with us. Thanks for
Thank you.
all the music that you have brought. We didn't even get a chance to talk about your nails.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Let's talk
nails.
about your nails real quick.
I have acrylic on all 5. Johnny Highland, I saw it a couple days ago. He does it on these 2, I think. Or these
those
two.
two.
Yeah.
Those two.
Brent Mason, I want to say, does it on these 3. I don't know. Anyway, I've been doing this since I'm 18 years old. My mom was a nail technician. She owned her own salon, so I made her do it. She freaked out the first time I asked her, but then she got used to it. And then when I went out on my own, I go to salons all the time. This is real acrylic. It's thick. And I use crazy glue to fill in the cracks. I love these little one-shot crazy glue guys. So or super glue, doesn't matter. So when you get cracks like that, I don't know if you can see that, you just fill it in there. So until you can get back to the shop so they can fill it in.
Yeah.
You know, and then of course you have to shape with the. I travel everywhere with this guy. This is my little nifty nail file, and it comes in this. But this one comes in this little cool
Is it?
case.
Is
you know.
there a name to that?
No, this one is a no-name brand. It was actually some swag that I got from a company. But I always file, like Johnny said, to get the flattest possible on the bottom side. But I like a perfectly round oval shape on the tip. Now, some guys like a little more pointy. I like mine perfectly oval.
Yeah.
So if you can see that,
Yeah.
you know, that's really important for me. And I just, you know, I'm always doing this. And I always keep my pinky a little longer so I can get that nice little harp guy.
Because you do so many flamenco things and nylon string things, and
Oh, yeah, we
you
didn't
just
even-
does not work without nails.
It doesn't, like, this is, for an example, excuse me, you know, just a little, you know, like a rumba flamenco idea. Just to get that, sound. And then when you're doing tremolo, you know, and then that little harp thingy, and just dragging the pinky, you know. But this is the rasgueado technique.
Rasgueado,
I
yep.
do not profess to be a master flamenco player, but I do profess to be a dabbler.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I've come up with my own little unique way of implementing it into almost everything I play.
Yeah.
I really like, and especially with my own artistry, I love throwing those little flares. You know, there's all kinds of neat little things. And also the picado technique. You know, it's just really helpful. And you can evoke lots of emotion. Of course, I'm using other techniques, vibrato and sliding, but I feel like when you attack the strings with your fingers, the fleshy part and the nail combination, I feel so much more attached to the notes. Even when I play electric, if I take a blues solo, a lot of times I just throw away the pick. Just dig in there, you know, just get really close to it.
We did a thing with J.D. Simo, and he did the same thing too. Didn't play with a pick.
Yeah.
He just kind of did all of his stuff with his fingers. It was
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Still powerful. It wasn't
Yeah.
sweet at all. It was still edgy. It was just
There you go.
beautiful.
Now, you know, because I do a lot of session work and I work for other people, I'll still use the picks. You know.
Yeah.
Which is another thing we know about pick thickness, right? You know, a lot of people say, well, why do you use a thin versus a medium versus a heavy? Well, they all give you different tones.
Yeah.
You know, and then of course you have your little tricks. So if you go here, you get a real tinny sound. If you go here, it's more leveled out. If you go here, it's more boomy, you know. So sometimes you, especially when you're doing a session, you know, that evokes a really cool sound, you know, versus, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, we can go on for days.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm glad you were able to make it. Anytime you're in the area, I'd love to be honored to have you again.
Oh, thank you. I'm honored to be on the show with the level of talent that you had. I'm just seriously grateful. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much. Thank you all for joining us, and we will see you guys next time.